Have you ever had one of those moments where your body knows something is wrong before your brain does? Because this happened to me. And to this day, this is one of the stories where I genuinely believe my intuition and listening to my intuition saved me and my friends. This story takes place back when I was in grade 8. So me and my two friends were having a sleepover. My one friend, she lived in a very nice gated community, and it's one of those neighborhoods in our town where we label it as, the rich neighborhood. But essentially everyone in that community is very well off and has these beautiful houses, and it just feels like a safe environment. The night we had our sleepover, we were home alone. Our only job for that night was to babysit her younger sister, who we pretty much just watched a movie with and then put her to bed because we wanted to do our own thing. So that part of the night was pretty uneventful. Once we put her sister to bed, we ordered pizza and then we watched a movie and literally ate a whole bag of those Jolly Rancher lollipops. To this day, I'm still trying to find them because I think they're discontinued. But yeah, we ended up eating a whole bag of them. And we were just hanging out, chilling in the living room. It wasn't too late. Still remember the movie we were watching. If I'm correct, it's called 1912, and I think it's about a cornfield. Don't quote me on it, but I think that's what it's about. We were watching that movie, and then directly behind her TV is her back patio, and all the blinds were drawn so we couldn't see outside, but we started hearing these noises, like these footsteps, this ruffling around. At first we ignored it because we thought, whatever, it's probably just an animal or something. And then it happened again, and I remember all three of us just slowly looking at each other before muting the TV. So we turned off the TV and we just listened, and it was quiet. As we were listening, we didn't really hear anything, so we mustered up the courage to go check, and there was nothing there. Now, I don't think this situation has anything to do with what happened the following day, which I'm about to share, but I decided to share it just in case it does, but it always stuck with me. And then that night, we kind of just hung out, listened to music, ate chocolate, and then went to bed. Pretty typical sleepover. So the next morning, it was very rainy and gloomy outside. And just with that weather, everything felt so much more eerie. And the weather made us, one, want to go take some photos outside, and two, do some exploring, which we were all really into at that time. At the very end of her neighborhood, there was a forested area behind like a cul-de-sac. It almost looked like a cut block with bunch of forest and trails, and then eventually that area led down to a ravine, which we wanted to check out as well. So we started exploring, obviously. At first it was like pretty peaceful. We found like this old abandoned van, and of course we were taking pictures in it and just trying to do like those moody Tumblr grunge aesthetic photos. But looking back at it now, the whole neighborhood felt off that day. And I mean that because, like I said earlier, it's a very beautiful, busy neighborhood, and not once did I recall seeing somebody else, like people walking their dogs, kids outside playing. Mind you, it was a gloomy day and maybe people didn't want to go outside, but that struck me as weird now that I'm thinking of it and the events that occurred later on in the day. After we did our little photo shoot, we made our way down to the ravine that we wanted to check out. Leading down to the ravine, it was beautiful. These big trees, it just went on and on and on and on. It was pretty steep decline, but once you got down to the bottom, it was beautiful. There's, like I said, big trees. We kept taking pictures. We were having a great time. And then we got to the bottom. You know when a place suddenly just feels wrong? That's the best way I can explain it. The second we got down there, it became dead quiet. I was trying to act normal, but this feeling of dread and just being uncomfortable just took over my body. And I started getting this horrible knot in my stomach. And as I was feeling this, I was looking forward towards my friends who were trying to cross the little creek. And I stayed back because I'm like, no, like I'm feeling weird, just give me a sec. And then as I'm trying to process what I'm feeling, in my peripheral vision, I see like this black mass just zoom, right, boom, like I don't know how far, how close it was, but it was just zoom, and it was just like this black mass. That's the best way I can describe it. And I whip my head, and I'm trying to see what that was. Was it a bird? Was it an insect? Was it a person? And there was nothing there. And right after I saw that, the feeling got worse. I suddenly felt sick to my stomach. It was like my body was going into like fight mode. One of my friends had fully crossed the creek at this point, and I couldn't see her anymore. And that's when I started to get really worried. I remember trying to suppress my feelings so hard because I didn't want to tell my friends I wanted to go, because I didn't want to seem like a Debbie Downer or like I was scared. And I didn't want to ruin the vibe of the experience, because we were having a great time up until this point. But eventually I couldn't ignore the feeling anymore, and I finally looked at them and I said, guys, I really don't have a good feeling. We need to leave. And honestly, I expected them to maybe laugh or make fun of me or fight it, but instead they immediately agreed. And I was happy because I did not want to put up a fight about leaving. So we immediately started climbing back up the side of the ravine. I was in the front because I just wanted to get the heck out of there. And when I reached the top, I didn't look back because I assumed they were right behind me. And suddenly, I hear one of my friends scream, "Run!" I turned around and I see them both sprinting up the hill. And I had never heard fear like that in someone's voice before. And I'd known these two girls for a long time. So I ran. We ran across the school field because there's a school in that neighborhood. Eventually we made it to one of the portables at the school, and we crouched down behind it just to catch our breath. I remember crouching down and analyzing both of my friends' faces, and I was like, what did you see? What happened? Both of my friends looked absolutely terrified, just like shaking. One of them kept peering around the corner for whatever reason. Unbeknownst to me at that time, I did not know what she was trying to look for. And then they look at me and they say, "We need to call the cops." And at this point I'm panicking because I still don't know what they saw. So I asked them again, what happened? They told me as they were climbing the ravine, they looked behind them and there was a man standing at the bottom of the ravine wearing a vendetta mask. Now, if you don't know what a vendetta mask looks like or is, I will put a picture up here to show you. You've probably seen one before and they're scary looking. And apparently, once they saw him and made eye contact with him, he started running up that hill towards us. I asked them if he chased us the whole way, and they said they didn't know because they were too scared to look back, which, yeah, in a situation like that, when you're being chased by someone, you don't want to look back, you just go. The timing of this all is so weird. The second I got that horrible feeling, second I saw that black mass in my peripheral vision, and then my body was telling me something was wrong. That's when we left. We ended up walking cautiously back to my friend's house, and we told her parents everything. But I remember feeling so frustrated because I felt like her parents didn't fully believe us. We wanted to call the police, but it never happened. And now, even years later, there's a part of me that still wonders, is there an explanation? Were by any chance my friends making that up to me? What's the coincidence of me feeling sick to my stomach and making us leave? I still have so many questions. But at the same time, the fear in my friends' voices were real. And to this day, I genuinely believe my intuition, my gut feeling, was telling me something. And it did. Ever since then, I've trusted my gut instincts. I've trusted my intuition. I've trusted that voice that goes against other things I'm thinking in my body. And typically this voice is going against something you're thinking. Sometimes I'll be like, should I do this? And my head will be like, yeah, that's a great idea. And then my intuition is like, really think about this. Because sometimes your body notices danger before your mind does. And that inner knowing senses something before your subconscious can sense it. I will never know the truth. I will never know the intent. I will never know, if it even happened or what could have happened. The only thing I know is that I felt fine that day. I felt fine that morning. You could say, oh, it was the chocolate. Oh, it was eating a whole bag of Jolly Ranchers. But I felt fine. And then the second we got down to that ravine, dread, anxiety, sick to my stomach feeling, telling me and my friends to go. If you have any thoughts of what that could have been, or if you have had a similar story, I'd love to hear down below, because I truly think it's amazing of what our inner knowings know and what they could warn us and tell us about, and why it is so important to trust that intuition. I will see you next time.